Assistant Leader Katrina Smith is introducing a pastor here that was her guest. He gave the prayer to open our caucus. Every morning starts with caucus, and every caucus starts with a prayer. Often representatives will bring guests. These are Representative Foster's guests. These are Representative Perkins' guests, and you'll see more of them later on in the video. These are Representative Drinkwater's guests. And these are Representative Henderson's nephews. They're going to be working in the State House today. You'll see more of them too. And this is where the day starts in session.
House be in order. Prayer this morning by Nick Benner, Granite Hill Church, Hallowell.
Good morning. It's an honor to be with you this morning, and I just want to thank you for what you do for this great state, representing all of us. And I know that your job takes a lot of wisdom and discernment and a lot of thinking, and I just want to pray that the Lord would give you wisdom today. James chapter 1 verse 5 says, if any one of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. And that's what I want to pray this morning. If you'll bow your heads and pray with me. Lord, we thank you for this morning. I thank you for all of these representatives, Lord, and that we can all be here today and that they have this session, Lord. And I pray that you would grant them this wisdom, Lord, your wisdom, to do what is good, to do what is right and what is just. And Lord, I thank you that you will give them everything that they need today. And I just pray that you would bless this meeting, bless this session, Lord, and this whole day, each one of them, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The chair wishes to thank the 25 members of the Westbrook High School Chamber Singers for their rendition of the national anthem and their concert performance prior to today's session. They are here under the direction of Suzanne Pruill. They are the guests of the representatives from Westbrook, Representative Gatine, Representative Salisbury, and Representative Riley. Would they please rise and accept the greetings of the House? Reading of the Journal of Tuesday, January 21st, 2025.
State of Maine, House of Representatives, 132nd Reading Legislature, first regular session.
It's a vote. Is now the pleasure of the House that the Journal be placed on file. It's off the record. The chair is pleased to appoint as honorary pages for today's session Chase Farnsworth, Brianna Vafiades, Mackenzie Clay, and Carly Kaufman from Tri-County Technical Center in Dexter. They are the guest representative from Caratunk, Representative Caruso, the representative from Dexter, Representative Foster. The Sergeant at Arms will escort them from the front to the front of the chamber to act as honorary pages for today's session. Off the record, the chair is pleased to appoint as honorary pages for today's session Micah Henderson and Logan Henderson from River Valley Christian Academy in Mexico. They're the guests, the representative from Rumford, Representative Henderson. The Sergeant at Arms will escort them to the front of the chamber to act as honorary pages for today's session. In reference to item 5-6, the clerk will read the special sentiment calendar item.
Item 5-6 is House Legislative Sentiment 18, presented by the representative from Dover Foxcroft, Representative Perkins, co-sponsored by the senator from Penobscot, Senator Guerin, and the representative from Dexter, Representative Foster. State of Maine, be it known to all that we, the members of the Senate and House of Representatives, join in recognizing Robert Weymouth of Charleston for his bravery and quick action on January 1, 2025. State of Maine, be it known to all that we, the members of the Senate and House of Representatives, join in recognizing Caleb Weymouth of Charleston for his bravery and quick action on January 1, 2025. State of Maine, be it known to all that we, the members of the Senate and House of Representatives, join in recognizing Colby Simmons of Dover Foxcroft for his bravery and quick action on January 1, 2025. While passing a house on the Stagecoach Road in Atkinson, he and two companions noticed that the house and a barn were on fire. They immediately stopped and woke the sleeping occupants of the house, ensuring that they exited to safety. Mr. Simmons' actions were in keeping with the traditions of Maine people looking out and caring for their neighbors. We commend him and offer our best wishes. And be it ordered that this official expression of legislative sentiment be sent forthwith on behalf of the legislature and the people of the state of Maine.
Chair recognizes the representative from Dover Foxcroft, Representative Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen in the House. I've had the opportunity to stand in this chamber numerous times to proudly recognize the amazing citizens of the state of Maine and their accomplishments. However, never before today have I been able to stand before you and praise more of those outstanding people and use the word hero. In the early morning of January 1st, while traveling on the Stagecoach Road in Atkinson, three young men, Colby Simmons of Dover Foxcroft and Robert and Caleb Weymouth of Charleston, noticed that a nearby farm was on fire. The three young men stopped and noticed that there were not any people outside. Deducing correctly that the residents of the farm might still be inside the house, the boys attempted to wake them by banging on the door. When nobody answered, they made the decision to place themselves in danger and enter the house. Despite the fact that the fire was spreading from the barn to the house and the three could hear the sound of propane tanks hissing, to try and locate anybody that might be inside. Once inside, the boys located the owners, a sleeping couple, and woke them, alerting them to the danger. They helped the couple quickly put on some clothing and escorted them safely out of the house. Mr. Speaker, had it not been for their quick thinking, calm execution, and selfless bravery on that cold New Year's morning, it would be just as likely that we would today be mourning the loss of two of our citizens overcome by smoke and flame than celebrating three teen heroes. I don't know, Mr. Speaker, if it is because these young men were raised around the fire service, having family members who have served as firefighters and even a fire chief, or if it is because of the sense of duty to others and public service that was instilled to them by their exemplary upbringing. But I do know that Colby, Robert, and Caleb, whose ages range only 15 to 17, serve not only as the finest examples of our young people, but their actions set them apart as what it truly means for Maine people looking out for their neighbors. Their actions are keeping within our finest traditions, and they are to be lauded. Thank you.
The chair is pleased to announce the presence in the... Chair's in error. Chair would recognize the representative from Dexter, Representative Foster.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will only add to my good friend, Representative Dover Foxcroft's message and just say that in today's times, it's good to know that we have young men, young people of this vintage, if you will, that especially at times when we wake up on New Year's Day and that time of year, that we don't often hear the good news like we heard about what these young men were able to do that night. Quite often, tragedy is what we see on the news, but it's encouraging to know that the young people we are raising here in the state of Maine are those that will take such action, and also it's a credit to their parents, their families, their town that's helped to raise them, and it's encouraging to know that generations today are just as they were when we were kids, and they took responsibility and took action when it was available to them. And I know they would say it's nothing anybody else wouldn't have done, but we know that they are heroes, and I thank them for what they did. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The chair is pleased to announce the presence in the gallery of Colby Simmons, Robert Weymouth, Caleb Weymouth. They are the guests that are represented from Dover Foxcroft, Representative Perkins, represented from Dexter, Representative Foster. Will they please rise and accept the greetings of the House? It is the pleasure of the House that this sentiment be passed and sent for concurrence. It's a vote. Is there objection to all matters having been acted upon being sent forthwith? Hearing none, ordered sent forthwith.
Yeah. All right. I want you to see.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Billy Bob Faulkingham, the leader of the House Republicans. Welcome to today's Republican press conference, legislative Republican press conference. We're here today because it is the governor's State of the Budget address today, and that is going to be the focus of our press conference. I wish my friend Randy Billings from the Portland Press Herald was here, because he asked me a question, and I was, rather than respond to him directly, I was going to respond to him here when you're all here so you could all hear the answer. But he asked me what I hoped to hear from the governor in her State of the Budget address tonight. And what I hope to hear from her is that she's going to walk back from her plan, that she's going to walk back from her plan to tax digital streaming, to tax tobacco, to tax cannabis, to tax people's pensions, to tax ambulances, and to tax prescriptions, and to even tax cans of paint. The digital streaming tax will raise $10 million from where people go to for their entertainment and information. The tobacco tax will raise $80 million. The cannabis tax, an absolutely absurd, reckless, out-of-touch budget that targets poor people. And I don't think I even need statistics to back this up. It's a, statistical reality that we can all see, that when you put on a tobacco tax, you're targeting poor people. I mean, that's just a fact. I don't need a statistic to back that up. I mean, what's just look at the percentage of society. How many are in the top, class? 5%. So 95% are poor or middle class, and they're getting targeted with a tobacco tax. You need to raise $80 million off the backs of poor people. We're sick of it, and the people of Maine are sick of it too. That's all for today. Any questions?
Well, I know you said that you get asked all the time, but I've asked again. So obviously this is going to be a negotiation going forward. What are Republicans, other than not what the governor proposed, what are Republicans, what do they want to see?
Well,
where would you clear spending? Where would
yeah, this is going to be a long process. We're at the very beginning of if you're talking specifically to the biennial, which is what the governor is going to talk about today. We do have a supplemental that's going to come in between that. But the biennial budget, this is basically the introduction of that. The governor, I know, had a press conference last week where she rolled it out, and tonight is going to be sort of her formal introduction of that. And our appropriations members are going to work very hard. They're not going to support any tax increases, but they're going to work very hard to try to get those cost savings in other places. And we're looking into that. And, a focal point of that is going to be, why are there over 400 million Mainers on MaineCare? That's not a point of pride or a good thing. That's a problem. Why is that? We've got, economic reasons, but are there also, other reasons? Who's on the system? Are they working? Are they able-bodied? Are they illegal immigrants? Those are numbers we need to figure out. It took a lot last year for us to discover that $35 million was being spent to house illegals in hotels and other places. So, It takes a little bit more digging as Republicans to get the interest to that, but we're putting those requests in to the agencies and seeing if we can find out where those numbers are.
There's talks already of Democrats passing majority budget, and Governor Mills said she would sign, especially with the increases. What's maybe your route to that line of thinking?
Well, I mean, I just think it just shows you how dysfunctional the government has gotten, how basically the arrogance of the majority party to keep passing budgets like this. If you look at the people I'm surrounded here with, and you look at us on a map of the state of Maine, it's going to cover 85% of the map of the state of Maine geographically. We represent pretty close to 50% of the people in the state, and we're being totally ignored and shut out from the process. I don't think that's a good way for the government to operate. I think we should be included and our voices should be heard, and we're definitely willing to negotiate. So we'd like to have a seat at the table, but it's definitely not trending in that direction.
Is there a reality in which Republicans would back a budget proposal that does have some tax increases if other demands are met by Democrats?
No, I don't think so. Not on tax increases. I mean, we'd be always probably open to tax swaps or tax shifts, that were neutral, but not tax increases. We are actually, I think we're the second or third highest tax state in the country, number one in property tax. We're already there, and to that end, to that point, the governor's proposal on tobacco, she spoke about taxing tobacco so that people quit using tobacco. Now, if the motive behind the tax is to get people to stop doing whatever the tax is, what does that say about all our other taxes on, income and things like that? Is that to get people to stop working? And I mean, it's kind of absurd, really, if you think about it. When did the Democrats become the party of sin taxes? So now they're going to tax tobacco, but they're also the party that's giving out free heroin needles, unlimited free heroin needles. How do you rationalize those two things? Good. Okay, thank you. In the afternoon, I had a meeting with the Canadian Consul General and the delegate from Quebec. They're a little bit worried about tariffs. So it's just about 6:30. We're all gathered back here at the State House, and it's about time to get headed down to the chamber where the governor is going to give the State of the Budget speech tonight. Not expecting great things from this speech, and so we'll see how it goes. Bell's ringing. It's time to get down to the chamber and get ready for the State of the Budget speech. How you doing? Thanks.
All these Democrats!
Bob, how you voting
Good.
tonight?
How am I voting? I'm voting no. Hey, how you doing?
Evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Welcome. Except for the 100-year-old
I usually
veteran.
skip these things.
Billy, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
White collar tie put on.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well, it was cool if you guys were a little too cheerful. How you holding up?
I'm good. Good.
The governor, Janet T. Mills,
to make such communication as she may be pleased to make.
Is it the pleasure?
The chair hears the message and thanks the committee.
Justice of the Maine Supreme Judicial Court, the Honorable Valerie Stanton.
Been chosen to represent the interests of 1.4 million people through storms. And so I want to thank Hannah Pingree, of Director of I've introduced balanced budgets, and with your support, these budgets have sent historic amounts of money back to Maine schools, Maine communities, and Maine people.
Governor Mills says that the way that her proposed budget is balanced is by proposing cuts to several programs, especially within DHHS, as well as raising revenues through several taxes, such as the cigarette tax.
But if I had to consider a revenue increase, I decided that I wanted it to be specific and purposeful rather than broad-based. And I wanted it to provide some social benefit in return. That's what the cigarette tax achieves.
Those proposed tax increases caused several protesters to fill the halls outside of the House to voice their displeasure.
What brought me out to the State House tonight is the fact that I've been working for 45 years, never been laid off, never been self-employed, never been without a job. But all of these new taxes are killing us.
After the State of the Budget address, Republican lawmakers shared their thoughts on what they heard.
Thankful, frankly, that she no longer has any input. This is now a legislative document. This is our document. This is not hers. And she can gloat as much as she would like to on stage tonight. That's fine, but it doesn't impact reality. Republicans, both in the House and the Senate, are going to work together to make sure that, one, we don't raise taxes on the people of Maine. I can promise you that much. And two, that we have a more responsible document both in the supplemental and in the biennial budgets that we'll work on later this year.
Specific cuts that you're hoping to see in the next budget?
So there's a lot of spending in there that we have never been on board with. To expect us to support that now, after we voted against it for 4 straight years, is kind of ludicrous on its face.
I think you got, first off, eliminate the tax. Right. That's a nonsense.
$6-7 billion to fund what's already passed into law. Remember, we haven't voted for that for the last 4 years. That was the Democrats shoving in everything they could possibly shove. Good evening. I'm Representative Billy Bob Faulkingham, the leader of the House Republicans in the Maine legislature. Democrats created this budget mess. They turned record tax revenues into a deficit. Instead of lowering taxes, Democrats continued to recklessly spend your hard-earned tax dollars. They abandoned the traditional bipartisan budget process by passing budgets without Republican support. Their irresponsible spending led to this shortfall. Governor Mills says she doesn't believe that the government can or should be all things to all people all of the time. But what this budget says is that she will tax all things and all people all of the time. Instead of addressing what caused the deficit by reducing spending, the governor is proposing to spend $1.1 billion more by taxing Maine's poorest citizens, low-income workers, senior citizens, and people living on fixed income. This is on top of the $448 million payroll tax that just took effect January 1st. How much pain can they inflict on you, the Maine people, before you say, enough is enough? Maine has the third highest tax burden in the country. Our property taxes are the highest in the nation. Rather than tax everything and everyone, Democrats should do what everyday working families do when they have less money: Spend less. The governor boasts about a 55% education funding and continued revenue sharing in her budget, but these are things we can easily agree on. This budget seems like it was written by a millionaire out of touch with reality. Taxes on paint cans, digital streaming, prescription drugs, cannabis, tobacco products, retiree pensions, and even an ambulance tax are taxes on the poor and middle class. This tax and spend mentality is threatening our children's future. Republicans are united in opposing new taxes on Maine's poor, our middle class, our workers, our families, our businesses, and our seniors. Good night and God bless.